Okay, it is Thursday, November the 12th, and it's 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And welcome to Introduction to Criminal Law. This is our week one open house lecture, and I am excited about these next 5.5 weeks. Some of you may know me. Some of you may have had me in other classes before, and you're going to learn quite a bit about me over the next 5.5 weeks. I'm going to share with you my expectations for things that I look forward to taking place in this quarter. And then I'm also going to provide you with some details about myself, and then we will adjourn. So let's go ahead and share my screen. Okay, immediately you can see at the top that my name is Richard Wright, and my phone number, and you see that phone number there, 630-660-8480. That is this phone right here, and I tell you in my message under that you can feel free to call me or text me or email me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. And you figure that one out. When you do text me, please be sure you include your name and include what course that you're in and what your specific question is that you need addressed, so that I'll be able to address it, because I won't know your number or any of those things because I don't store those numbers. And then if you need me, don't hesitate to use any of these means to reach out to me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. If you email me, you can email me in the course email, or you can email me in my personal email, or you can use the email that is for myself, which is outside the course, which is the same email that you see in the course email. Now, I recommend that if it's an urgent matter, that you don't do it by email, but that you either text me or call me. And so, very important. Now, one of the things that you'll note up front is that the very first thing that you will see in my in here is that rubrics are extremely important. Extremely important that you follow the rubrics and match them up with what the requirements are in the module. I've said this time and time again to students, to get students to maximize their grades. Make sure you read very carefully. I recommend using the rubric as a checklist to be able to know whether or not you're doing the assignment correctly. Now, you will know if you did it correctly when I submit to you my comments after I grade the assignment, but you also have an opportunity to learn before that with the rubrics that I give you. And so I want to make sure that you understand that the rubrics are in each and every assignment. I will be showing you that today. APA. APA is extremely important. We're now doing APA, the 7th edition. If you don't know how to do APA, I do recommend that you reach out to a tutor and get that tutor to help you, because APA is very, very, very important. And oftentimes students lose points in their written assignments because one of the features of APA that I look at really seriously are citations in the body of the paper. and references at the end. You should have a cover sheet, should be double spaced, should be Romans 12, and there should be a reference page and a cover sheet. Now, be aware of the fact that the purpose for citations are to support your statements in the paper. So if there's a statement in the paper that you know came from stuff that you researched, you should cite that source. I'll be talking about that in a few minutes when I show you the academic integrity video that we have here. So it's very, 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 very important for you to understand how that works. You will lose points pretty quickly because of APA. And don't just throw me a citation in the body. I want to see citations throughout the paper, because if you, and then your citations should line up with your references. If you have 4 references and you only have 1 citation, that means there's something wrong, because your references should be cited in the body of the paper, at least once for the papers. And so it's very, very, very important. Critical thinking can get you in trouble if you don't know how to use it. With critical thinking, what I am referring to is providing analysis of the assignment. We don't want you just to be students who can copy and paste material, and you should be able to analyze the material and put it in your own words. And you should run all of your papers through Grammarly, as you each have a Grammarly account. I noticed today when I was looking at the app for Rasmussen, they talked about the Grammarly account in there. And so you should be well aware that you have a free Grammarly account, and you need to check the box for plagiarism so that you can determine. Now, if your papers go over, and I'm very liberal about it, 25%, which is high. Some professors go 10%, but I go 25%. If you go above that, then you're going to lose those number of points. So let's say, for example, if your paper has 100 points and your Grammarly check comes up with 50, then you're going to lose 50 points, and you're going to get a 50 out of that 100. So the point of the matter is you're going to lose the commensurate percentage and amount of points in the assignment itself. So it is very, 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 very important for you to understand. And critical thinking is one of our transferable skills that I'll be alluding to in just a few minutes. So it's very, very, very important. Now, the additional reminders, and this, by the way, this course homepage has a whole lot of help for you. It's not extra stuff, it's help for you. And I remind you about conducting research. In every paper that you do, you should conduct research. If you don't conduct research, then you will lose points. The sole source of your papers should not be the textbook. If so, you will lose 2 points. And that's not in the rubric, but that is a standard requirement. And I'm telling you that up front. It's right up in front of you. And then, of course, I've already talked about APA format. And then I talked about the cover sheet. Included in here are a number of helpful resources which you can utilize to help you with getting your writing done. We have a great library and learning resource. If you were to click on, for example, I'll just click on this one to show you what I'm talking about. It will open up. Supposed to open it up. I don't know why it's not. For some reason or another, it's not opening it up. Okay, let's open up the link in a new tab. Here it goes. And we go to this tab, and there it is. So it tells you about a number of things with Grammarly. It talks about APA, and you could find more information in Noodle Tools, webinars, things for new students, and all of this. It reminds you that we're on the 7th edition of the APA. And it tells you all these things. You can open them up and you can look at them to help you out. But I don't know why the links aren't, I don't know why, because I know in previous weeks, and you know what, this might have something to do with the fact that we now have a new way with this Blackboard that we're still learning. So there are things that, you know, but you should be able to, and if not, just right click and open the link and it'll take you to it. Then your tutoring assistance. This tells you about tutoring services. See, now that one is working. So you should be able to click on it and you'll be able to connect with a tutor. How do tutoring services work? There it is again. So I don't know what's going on with this. I might have to redo it again. So I'll go back and add it to it later to make sure that they work. None of these seem to work. So I'll go ahead and I'll fix that. Tutoring is not just for students who are having problems. It's also to help you to stay out of trouble. So you can take a look at this and tell you how to find tutors as well. But if you look at the link that I was showing you a few minutes ago, let's see, this one. Okay. So if we open this up, it tells you about tutoring as well. So if you click on the tutoring, then you'll be able to see details about that as well. So if you clicked on that, it will take you to where it helps you to line up with a tutor. Okay. So you have all of these sources dealing with transferable skills and all of the different things that we're going to talk about as well. All right. Okay, so now let's get out of that one. Okay, so now we come back down to here. There's various articles that help you in terms of research. If you click on them, it takes you to the articles. You can download them and they will help you deal with issues such as going beyond the textbook, such as analytical tips, and the importance of information literacy, which is one of our critical skills that we will be talking about. And so it's very important that you understand that. Then your references, that's going to deal with things that you need to be able to do as far as writing your papers as well. This you don't have to worry about. Here is a critical thinking video that you can click on, and it helps you to understand critical thinking. Rubrics are located in each weekly assignment. And then there's a general discussion rubric that's used standard. And the key thing in that is what you do for your first post. Now, you want to be up here, not down here. So if you get no post, you get a 0. If it's a poorly written post and it doesn't have much information, you're going to be down here. If you find yourself in the situation that, you know, the more you add, the higher you climb out. So, you know, so, okay. So, you know, so it's important for you to be able to do that. So you want to find yourself in the situation where you are able to go forth and be able to reach the letter A at the top. And those are very detailed. And basically what it is I want to be able to let you demonstrate that you actually understand what you're doing in terms of the information that you gather. So you want to make sure that it fits within the information. So demonstrate that you've done some thinking about what you are actually doing, thoroughly considering the issue, connected to the post, and that it's on time. Each day that your post is late, you're going to lose points. And we'll talk about discussion posts in just a few minutes. And then this is responses. Now, I do encourage more than one response, but you'll only get points for one. And they got to be timely to get the maximum number of points. Okay, don't be rude or abusive. We don't have that in any. So this is your general rubric that you utilize to get discussion posts done. Pretty straightforward. Here is your live classroom session. Now, notice today that we're doing the lecture today. Why are we doing it today? Because it's the first day of class and we have to have a lecture by the end of the week. I don't want to do any over the weekend, so I'm doing 2 today and 1 tomorrow in different classes. So originally I had scheduled your lecture for yesterday, and then I found out that because yesterday was a holiday, that we were starting on Thursday. So that's why we're getting the first day in. That's probably why a lot of students aren't here. But the point of the matter is that today's session will go roughly until 7:30. Now, starting next week and weeks after that, it will be Tuesdays. And it'll be 8:30 to 9:30. It won't be an hour and a half, just an hour. Okay? So you have to listen to the lecture or attend and give me a key phrase or word that I give you. And it's very important. All right? I will be recording the lectures. Of course, though, students will ask me that, but they won't know that until they actually hear the first lecture. And so recordings will be listed under recordings, and it will show you the link to get to recordings. This is the link to get to where we are now. But recordings link will be different because each lecture is different. One of the things that you'll discover about me that you may discover different from other professors is that I will take the recordings and convert those recordings to YouTube recordings, and they will be uploaded to YouTube. And the reason why I do that is because you can get more flexibility. Some students have trouble with using the WebEx, and sometimes there are WebEx system issues, but very rarely is there a problem with YouTube. I saw something on the news yesterday that YouTube was out for an hour, but that is highly irregular, and that most of the time you will be able to get them. And you'll have to have the link to get to the lecture, because I have hundreds of lectures from previous quarters that are on my page, but you can't get to all of them because it's private, but you can get to the ones that I provide the link. So the link will be here, and then I will also send you an email. Okay. I will say this, that there will be a delay with getting it to you because I have to wait for it to convert. First of all, I have to wait for the WebEx people to allow me to convert it, because they send it to me and it's a PDF. It's not a PDF. It's a MP4, which now we have. Thank God for that, because that sped it up some. And then I take and convert that MP4 to a YouTube. All right. So now I want to take a few minutes and take you to this academic integrity video. Now, I'm going to take off my headset because I don't think you can hear it, but there will be on here. So let's play this and pay close attention to this video.
What is academic integrity? Academic integrity is making decisions in your academic life that are based on honesty, trust, fairness, responsibility, and respect. This means being honest in the way you do, while respecting what others do. What is cheating? Cheating means distributing or receiving answers of information by any means other than those expressly by silence requirements or evidence drawn. Some examples of cheating are asking fellow students for answers or copying answers during class, using notes, devices, or materials during class that are constructed as valuable, purchasing papers from websites or other sources, copying your classmates' work, assisting a classmate in misconduct, and other violations as noted in the academic integrity policy that can be found in all course syllabi. Always ask your professor if it's okay to use notes during a test or work together with classmates on an assignment or quiz. Now let's talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism means using another individual's work without giving them credit or taking another person's work and thinking it is your work. Some examples of plagiarism are tuning in an assignment that someone else wrote, copying words or ideas from someone else. This can be an academic source, course textbook, analytical source, or other material without giving the original creator credit. Failing to include works in quotation marks, or using someone else's ideas and essays but changing the feel of the words to sound like your own. Plagiarism is not just about written words and ideas. It's possible to plagiarize images, graphs, coding, or video as well. How can you avoid plagiarism? Cite your sources, both in the body of your paper as in text citations and all your references. Whenever you want to use words, images, or ideas that are created by another person, you should cite that person appropriately as the source of that information. How does academic integrity relate to the work world? Is it just a college thing? Integrity in the workplace starts with good practices and skills built while you are a student. Would you turn in a contact document to your manager as normally when someone has money? Now if you want to quit your job. Individuals can be recommended or even fired from their jobs. Following academic integrity guidelines while you are in school builds those skills and ethical practices right here in the individual. Okay, I understand how you're counting, but what do I do more now? Good questions on the academic integrity policy, describe your course syllabus, draft of the instructor or leader, and if they need assistance, inspire, or how to avoid plagiarism. Contact the Rasmussen Academy through our app chat, or schedule a research appointment on the website, or through the resources at. If you would like to move to a schedule an appointment with one of our peer tutors on the course resources.
Okay, so this is one of the things that, as I said, you pay close attention to. Notice that the key thing to do is being able to cite your sources. That's an issue that, as I said before, that's very important when it comes to academic integrity and your references. So it's not just that it's a requirement of APA, but we're also giving you the ability to be able to demonstrate credibility in your writings as well. That video is always here on the course homepage, and if you go down to your resources on your left side there, you can also find the same thing again. If you look at that resources information there, it tells you about library and learning. There's the academic integrity video again. There's other things. There is also information that tells you about APA, Grammarly, as I spoke about earlier, Noodle tools, writing guides, and so forth. So the old way it used to be is that the resources tab was up at the right top. Now it's on the left side so that you'll be able to have access to it once you get into the class. Some of this stuff on here that you see, you won't have. You'll have this and this. You won't have the materials and faculty guide, but you do have access to resources. That's one of the things that you can always find. All right. Then there's the writing process. Again, you click on this and open it up, and it tells you about the writing process. There's some more about APA. Notice that if you were to click on this, it opens it up and it takes you to APA. 7th edition gives you the toolkit and things that help you with in-text citations, references, and tells you about different things you can do there to do that. So you have an abundance of tools right here on the course homepage. All right. Now, one of the first announcements that you should have read is the welcome announcement. And notice that these things that are highlighted are all things that are very important for you to pay close attention to. This announcement will continue to be on the course homepage until the end of the course. And I encourage you to pay attention to every one of these, especially your announcements, which are on the course homepage, which there's one right here that's going to come up, as well as you should take a look at your student lounge, which you each should have posted something and tell you a little bit about me so I learn about you. Your course mail, that's where we do our communications within the course. You will not put personal information on here. Your course calendar, which tells you important dates and things like that. You have access to that too on the side. Resources, I just showed you where. Your report tab is something I don't use. That's so you can access to your grade book. And then this is some more information that I've already shared with you. This reminds you that our open house is taking place right now, and that beginning next week, lectures will be Tuesday. So next week, your first lecture, for which will be week 2, will be at 8:30 all the way through week 6. Okay, so it's very important, and this will be on the course homepage the whole entire time. All right, so now before I do this, go into the welcome announcement, I want to go to the syllabus, and we'll come back to that announcement. Now, notice the syllabus. It has information about me, my name, and it tells you some information that you also learn on the course homepage. All right, tells you the name of the textbook, and it says that term 2 classes, notice that they end on Sunday midnight. The last Sunday midnight is when all your assignments are due. So week 1, your assignments were due this Sunday. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in a few minutes. Then last day of class, which is December the 18th, I will remind you of that throughout the course of this class session and every session. All right. Initial posts this week are due Saturday. Reply posts are due Saturday. Weeks 2 through 5, initial posts are due Tuesdays. And it says midnight, but 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Week 2 through 5 reply posts are due Saturday, same way. And then the reply posts on the last day of class for week 6. That's for week 6. All right. I've already talked about APA, and you refer to the library resources, the resources tab, and be able to find that information. Now, these are the requirements for this course. You have readings, which are demonstrated in the announcement, discussion posts, which are in the announcement, on the course calendar as well, and in the module itself. Practice activities. These are things to help you prepare for graded quizzes, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a few minutes. In this course, there will be only 2 quizzes. One will be week 3, and the other one will be week 6. Those are equal to midterms. The week 3 quiz, which is timed, as well as the week 6, the week 3 quiz will cover modules 1 through 3. The week 6 quiz will cover 4 through 6. Okay. And then you'll also have written assignments as well. And then your live classroom sessions. Each week you will have those. So notice that announcements and course messages and calendar tools are important to learn about live lectures and everything else. So here's how your course breaks down. Your course, notice the greatest percentage is located written assignments and quizzes. But your discussion posts constitute 18%. Okay, almost 1/5 of it. And then your written assignments constitute 40%, nearly half of it. And your quizzes, nearly 40%. and then your live lectures, 6%. Don't forsake these because it's a small percentage, because they could be the difference in passing, failing, and an A and a B. Now let's talk about the grading scale. I'm going to say this right now. I do not operate below this level, B minus. My goal is to get you in this range. My goal is to get you up here. But the worst I'd like to see you is here. So 82 to 80%. If you fall below that, then you're C, D, and F. Do not ever, I repeat, do not ever call me, text me, email me to ask me how do I get a C or D in my class. I'm not going to tell you that, because you can do that on your own. I don't operate on that basis. I expect you to perform and do the assignments appropriately. So it's very, very, very important for you to be aware of that. All right. So now I'm going to come down here to transferable skills. Now, with transferable skills, these are skills that employers have told us that they are looking for when they hire people. And they're very important. And so that's why we call them transferable skills. All of your assignments figure in to transferable skills, one or the other or more. The first transferable skill, and not necessarily importance in order, is communication. You must be proficient in written and oral communication. And so we grade you on that basis in your rubrics if you pay close attention. We grade you based on that, and your written assignments should be that way. We don't really have oral communication that we can grade you on here, but I can tell you this, is that it is important that when you become a professional that you be able to communicate in written and oral communication. Written communication, especially in criminal justice, is very, very important. I was a criminal defense lawyer for many, many years, and individuals who profess to be professionals, if in their reports that became exhibits in court, there was something wrong, I would go for the jugular. Even being technical to say things like, if I read in your report that you used I, the letter I, standing alone as lowercase, I would read it out in front of the trier of fact that you wrote I in the lowercase. And obviously, it doesn't change the meaning of the paper, but what it does do, it demonstrates your inefficiency in written communication. And what it often does is it throws the person off that I'm questioning, and that's my desire. So you have to, as we say, dot every I, cross every T. You must also use appropriate grammar in your writing. Critical thinking, we've already talked about that, so I'm going to skip over that. Digital fluency. We are in a digital society. Everything is operated that way. I came out of law school in 1978. We didn't have any of that stuff. But now our systems of classroom, there are people who didn't understand remote learning that we've been doing for years at Rasmussen College that is now getting oriented to it because of the pandemic. But it was going to come anyway, because when I first came to this school to teach in 2011, I was hired to teach residentially. But I had to learn quickly how to navigate these systems. I have to do that in order to be able to read your papers, to grade your papers. I also tell you that you got to learn how to use the processes of Word, Excel spreadsheets, PDF. And you got to be able to navigate. Even now with social media, you with those kinds of things, Twitter or Facebook, or either some of the things that you guys do. I don't know about Snapchat. I'm not trying to do that, but they're Instagram, all of these different things. So basically, even now, I used to have textbooks, and they were books, but now the books are digital, and I used to have to carry heavy books, but now I have my books right here in an app on my phone. It's called the bookshelf, and it's right here, and it tells me, right here. So you can't see it that well, but for example, in this class, I have my introduction to criminal law right here, and I have the whole book right here on my phone. You have it in the course, but I can read it on my phone. I can read it on my tablet, and I have all of my books that I need right here, but that's digital. So you're going to be doing that as a professional as well. Diversity. You're going to work with people from various backgrounds. We have learned at this school to be able to respect people from all backgrounds, sexual preferences, religious beliefs, liberal, conservative, far to the right, radical. We don't tout racism and hatred. We don't want to do that. We want diversity. To this end, I am a part of the Diversity and Inclusion Council at this school, and I'm a real advocate for diversity and inclusion so that we respect people from their different approaches. They don't have to agree with me, but we can still work through our differences. And so it is so important that you learn that, and you will be applying that in this class, particularly when you're dealing with the teamwork aspects, because your discussion posts operate where you're going to be operating as a team, because you're going to be responding to each other's posts as a reply post. Then we deal with ethics and professional responsibility. Right now we have an ethical dilemma. We have an ethical dilemma in this country. We have an ethical dilemma that's happening in law enforcement. We have an ethical dilemma that's happening in business. We have ethical dilemmas that happen in education, religion, all over the place. But it is so important for you to understand that ethics are so important. You must operate with integrity. You must operate with the truth. You must not manufacture the truth. The truth doesn't need to be manufactured. It speaks for itself. You need to understand that it is important that you have evidence if you're going to bring forward. I know well about that because of my background in law. But you learn that as a law enforcement officer, as a parole officer, as a probation officer, as a correction officer, or forensics, whatever areas you work in, you're going to have to operate ethically. And it's so important. And if you don't, you could lose your position, and or you can end up behind bars. So it's important to operate ethical. I taught ethics in criminal justice. I taught ethics in business, and I taught ethics in medicine at this school. So it's important for you to understand the importance of ethics. That goes with while you're doing your assignments. That's what the whole academic integrity issue is. That's what the citations and references is about. That's what's about importance of not copying stuff, not using things. You know, when you take your test, for example, we tell you you're not supposed to have notes or paper. Well, we can't be with you where you take your test, but we can certainly tell, because if you have 10 questions and you have 10 minutes to do each question, you have 10 minutes rather to do the whole quiz, and that clock is moving on you, and you end up doing one or two, that's because you were trying to look at something. You don't put stickies in front of you. You don't do all those different kinds of things. Let me say to you, if you're unethical in school, you're going to be unethical as a professional, and you're going to run into problems. So we encourage you to operate on an ethical principle. And then going along with that, each of your organizations, whether you're a lawyer, accountant, paralegal, probation, whatever it is, they all subject you to professional responsibility, a code of conduct that you must operate and do very well. And so it can also cause you to lose your license. I've had people that get disbarred for unethical practices and failure to abide by professional responsibility. Then there's information literacy. That means using credible resources in your papers, in your discussion posts. One of the resources that we encourage you not to use is one that starts with a W. And if you know it, type it in the chat box. I'll see it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Either of you? What source that you never use? It starts with a W. Wiki what? Yeah, that's the first part of it. Wiki, it's Wikipedia. That's right, Wikipedia. And we don't use that. Some people say, oh, it's good information. The problem with it is not credible because people can change it. You do know that that Wikipedia page is a word-based document that can be changed by anybody. So we don't use that. It's not to be used. Other forms of credible information literacy is you have to be careful about using something that you cite that may be inherently biased. The key thing is you want to have information that is credible, okay, that's written by individuals who demonstrate some credibility, have credentials in what they're doing. So information literacy. So those are your transferable skills. Very important. And as I said, that you will be using those in each of your assignments. Okay, I want to talk about the late assignment policy. Rasmussen has established a late assignment policy that says you can have up to a week to turn in your work late. Now, that doesn't apply to discussion posts. It applies to your written assignments. What that means, if your assignments are due on Sunday, you have until the following Sunday to turn it in. All right? Now, so that would be considered as participation. However, the downside is the next sentence. 10% you will lose for every day it's late. So what does that mean? Don't get it, and don't fall in love with the 7 days. Let's say you have a perfect paper on Sunday. It's 100. You turn in that same paper on Monday. It's a 90. You turn it in on Tuesday. It's a 80. You turn that paper in on Wednesday. It's a 70. See what I mean? and you're only 4 days in. So the bottom line is that you can end up by the time you get to week 7, day 7, you just get 10 points. That's it. That is it. And you failed way before 10 points. And that's a problem. Okay. Now, don't ask me about an alternate assignment, because we don't do that. I'll be glad when they take that out of here, because I don't do that. I've never done it in any of my classes except one. I had one student that I did an alternate assignment. That's because he was deployed and he was taking my class, and he couldn't do the assignment. So I had to give him a totally different assignment, and he did pretty well with that. But that's it. That's it. Now, the next statement shows you where yours truly has this last say so. It says, and I'll read it, instructors. Notice it says at the beginning, who may waive the late penalty. Not your dean, not your advisor, not the president of the university, the chairman of the board. Instructors may waive the late penalty in the case of extenuating circumstances. What are extenuating circumstances? I determine that on a case-by-case basis, but you use your own judgment. Some examples may be COVID illness, or somebody ill, somebody close to you, a family member passed away, you were very sick, or your power went out, or you're in Florida or somewhere in the South, Texas, as some of my students have been, and the hurricanes and storms have come through. But don't lie to me and tell me, but how do I know? I told you earlier how you can communicate with me. I'm not going to be, we have a system that says we can check up on students to see what's going on. I do that a little bit, but I don't do it a lot, because it is important for you to understand that you're adults now, and you guys, if you don't operate on that basis, it's going to be problematic for you in your whole career. And you can end up, I'm not going to be an enabler. I am not that. But I am going to tell you this. I am very liberal when it comes to extenuating circumstances. And I, again, reach a point where I even say no. I had a student that said to me, my work schedule changed. Now, I said, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. Now, if your work schedule, for example, involved a crisis, like, for example, I had a student who was involved in working a certain job up in Minnesota, and when all the unrest was taking place, well, I gave him an opportunity to get him in late because his work hours were long, because he was part of the National Guard or something like that, which, by the way, now that I'm saying this, if you are in the National Guard or reserves or something that takes you off an assignment, then I give you a break in terms of that. What I tell students, though, is make sure that you let me know in advance. Don't wait until late. Again, if it's and then you know what some people do? They'll wait till Sunday night, and the assignments due that night, and then they'll start sending me messages. That's not going to fly most of the time, unless it's something that you couldn't avoid. But I got to know. I got to know in advance. And I'm going to tell you something, and I mean what I'm about to say. If I discover that you're playing games with me, then I'm going to report it, and then you're going to end up before the school board, and then you possibly could be dismissed for violation of academic integrity. We want people to understand that we're trying to not raise you, but we're trying to teach you how to do things decently and in order. Excuse me. Now, very, very important. So everybody should have the waiving of late assignments. Now, once I talk to you or you talk to me and I tell you, I says, when you submit your assignment, attach a note or a comment to the assignment, reminding me as I grade it that we talked and that I gave you an extension. And I'll then be able to remember, oh yeah, because I have hundreds of students and I don't remember everybody who says something to me all the time. Now let's talk about discussion posts. As you already know, I've given you the schedule when discussion assignments are due. Now, each day that your assignments are late for discussion posts, you will lose 1 point. Now, let me say this to you. You can hear me good, but I'm about to say. At the end of that week, you cannot submit discussion posts. I can't even extend those to extenuating circumstances. I'm telling you up front that you need to be able to get those in because they're not really that involved. So, as you know, initial posts are due on Tuesdays, with the exception of this week, and that reply posts are due Saturdays, with the exception of the last week of the course, which means Friday. The point of the matter is that by the end, after 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday, the forum is over. It's over. In fact, on Sundays, I go through and I do a scrub and I see if you haven't turned in a discussion post, I put zeros in. And I'll send a note to you in the grade book. You did not submit a post this week. 0. Now I've seen people try to submit posts after that, and you're still not going to get points for it. Now, here's one thing that I do. I give you a break. If your initial post is submitted between the due date or before the due date, now, if it's submitted by Saturday, and then you haven't submitted a discussion reply post, but you submit it on Sunday, I will give you points for that Sunday post, even though the form is over, but I will deduct a point. Now, I technically could give you 0, but I don't do that. I don't know who else does it. I know I do it. I've been doing it for a long time, and I think it's fair. And that's how I operate. So if you submit both your initial post and discussion post on that Sunday, too late. Too late. So everybody should have that now. We got that straight. All right. So that's enough on late assignments. Don't worry about things like labs and other things. No, we don't do that. Incomplete grade policy, I will not talk to you about that. That's something you can read over or talk to your advisor about if necessary. The academic integrity policy, take time to read it yourself so you want to be familiar with the things that you don't do, which could end up giving you a 0 and or dismissed from the school. Okay, got to step it up because I got a lot more to go here. Okay, so now let's go back to the course home. Oh, while I'm over here, I need to do something else. I want to take you to the course calendar. Now, here's your course calendar. If you click on it, it tells you more information. Notice today, your live lecture, it tells you here. So if you look at your whole, look at it. So your reading assignment, and you should start that, your live lecture today. Your initial post and reply post are both due Saturday. This is the only week that you have two due on the same day. Okay? Then your written assignment, Elements of Criminal Law, we'll talk about that, is due Sunday, along with whoops, I know why, because they'll do that. Your live classroom phrase. Okay, now, listen to me good what I'm about to say to you. I'm getting ready to tell you it. Because of the holiday, normally this course would have started yesterday. But because we're starting on Thursday, I spoke with someone who is in my chain of leadership, and she shared with me that what we are encouraged as faculty is to give our students a break on their written assignments. Now, I'm talking about written assignments. I'm not talking about discussion posts. I'm not talking about those. Those are due day after tomorrow. I'm talking about this written assignment here and your key phrase. We will take it without deducting points up to Monday the 16th. I know in the calendar it says what it says. I know in the announcement what it says, but we don't want to change that written. But be aware, just so you know, you will have that opportunity to have an extra day added. Now, if you don't have to use it, don't do it. Don't do it. Everything else is not going to back up. Rest of it is going to go according to schedule here. Okay? You'll notice that your next lecture is Tuesday and every Tuesday after that at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I've kind of laid out the calendar for you, but also explained where we're giving you a break this week. So when I grade, I will keep that in mind as well. It will say late when you submit it, but I got it covered on this end. All right. Now, each week there is an announcement. And you will see this. And in your announcements, it will tell you what you need to know. What the topic of the week is, which is crime and constitution this week. And I'm not going to get into the details of it because this is an open house. But starting next week, I will. Chapters 1 and 2, which I sent you the PowerPoints. And you will get those each week for your help in terms of studying for the module. Then of the textbook as well in your readings. And then types of law. These are areas that we're going to look at. And then there is a practice quiz. Okay. And then I remind you about today's lecture. And then the discussion assignment, police dogs and warrantless searches. Notice what it says here. Both of these are due Saturday, and they mean that. Elements of Criminal Law, your written assignment, is due Sunday. However, if it's turned in Monday, it will be okay. And then this reminds you about the lecture. There's a motto down here, adversity is the springboard to success. I will talk about that today. and I will provide something for you that's a little longer. I used to turn this into almost a 2-hour, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to instead give you a second recording that you can look at, and you will learn some things about your professor that will help you understand me more. You're not going to be graded on them, but I do recommend that you do pay close attention to it. Students who are in this class that have had me before already know what adversity as a springboard success is all about. It's actually my life, and I want you to operate on that basis yourself to help yourself. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, let's look at the module. Okay, so each week you have assignments. And in this case, you have discussion forums, and it tells you a scenario to use, and it tells you what to do for your initial post, and it tells you what to do for your reply post. I've already talked about how they work. This week, it's going to be on police dogs and warrantless searches. Okay? Then is your written assignment. Now, I want you to pay close attention to this. There are 3 scenarios in here. Each scenario is going to be 1/3 of your written assignment. Now, I want you to pay close attention to what it says. Each scenario in a minimum of 3 pages, not counting the reference page or the cover page. What I am expecting you to do is, number 1, separate the pages, but at least a minimum of 1 page for each scenario. Did you hear me? A minimum. And you need to have APA in all of those sections. So you're dealing with this apartment fire, rock through the window, and stolen purse. 1 page, double space. Total should be a minimum of 3 pages. I don't care if you go more, but a minimum. I'm setting this out for you right now. That's why I said you're going to follow what's in here. Then I'm going to show you the rubric. So the question is, what criminal laws have been committed? Locate an example of the criminal law from your state, and cite that information. Identify and explain the elements of the crime that have each committed in each scenario. Don't just copy and paste the text from the statutes, but elaborate on it. Prepare your assignment with APA. We've already talked about that. You must include proper citations to any source you relied on. That's statutes or articles or whatever. Here is a source that will help you. This guide here. And if you click on this each week, it will open up for you, and it will tell you about our School of Justice Studies and all the things. Notice what it does. It talks about your weekly assignment, weekly written assignment, and elaborates to tell you how to help you to do with that. Discussion posts, and it helps you to get all of these assignments done. Okay? So this is here to help you to deal with your written assignment, your library, APA, and tutoring. So now let's take a look at how you find the rubric. Pay close attention. Put your mouse on the topic of the assignment. See, the first thing you see is the due date. Then you find possible points. Yeah, but you said I could see the rubric. you have to click Review Rubric. Remember what I told you about digital literacy? And you open it up for 40 points. You're going to get 30 points for this. 10, 20, 30. Then you're going to get 5 points for grammar, spelling, punctuation, meeting the 3-page minimum requirement, which means 1 page, and in paragraph form, not just one long paragraph. And then APA. See what it says here about Wikipedia? There it is. So that's for your APA citations. So that totals 40 points. This section down here will be the same. Up here will vary depending on the assignment. So again, where you have to do the same thing that I said earlier. And it tells you in here, if you see that you have not satisfied this, you're going to end up getting dinged. And I'm going to take some points away. Your key is to get the correct number of points, which is 40. So each week, you'll be able to see that yourself. I'll be going over it in class as well. Okay. Any questions about the written assignment? Type in the chat box, yes or no. Okay, good. That's what I want to do. And if you follow, I'm telling you, you can ace this course by just following the rubrics and the module. And if you run into a problem, don't wait till Sunday night to reach out to me. Reach out to me before that, okay? Now, those are your written assignment. Then your live classroom. Notice again, this says that it's due on Sunday. But remember what I said, I'm giving you, this is only for this week that you can do that, okay? Very important. And those are the assignments. So now, normally what I would do is I would cover the lesson content and go over the details, but I'm just going to show you how each week that it's going to work. Now notice it spells out a summary at the beginning. Type of law, what is crime? Fourth Amendment, key terms, practice, where it says for practice, practice, key terms. These are things to help you. Your assignments are listed down here. So you're going to deal with this yourself. The type of law, and you're going to go over this. Now, again, every week I will cover this, but you can read this yourself, okay? And then you go to the next, click the next button, and it leads you. And it tells you about case law, administrative law. Then you go back. Okay. So you get to learn about the various laws. You'll also learn this in your reading. What is crime? Misdemeanors? I'll tell you that up front. The difference between a misdemeanor and felony is the sentence. If you go to jail, incarcerated for less than a year, it's considered a misdemeanor. And you will generally go to jail, not prison. Felony is an offense that is punishable by more than a year, and these are the most serious. And they list some over here. Which you don't feel affects your driving privileges. It can affect also in our community if your grass is too high and stuff like that, those kinds of things. Jails versus prison, as I said earlier, jails are actually temporary holding for inmates awaiting trial or those who have a misdemeanor. Okay. And then the county usually or local city might do it. Prisons are controlled by the state or the federal government. And that's where felonies, people who commit felonies, go. The Fourth Amendment probable cause issue. The Fourth Amendment, you'll discover, is one of the, and when you take constitutional law, I teach that, and I'm teaching that this term, you will discover that the law is quite clear that if you commit a crime and the crime is based upon probable cause, in other words, the level of proof that officers must have to make an arrest or to receive a search warrant. And then you can read over these things. Then there's reasonable suspicion. Terry versus Ohio, the old stop and frisk. Reasonable suspicion if an officer can articulate facts that lead one to believe that a person is engaged in crime, or as we said in the term, that crime is afoot. Anyway, that crime is taking place. So then those are brief stops. Those are what we call Terry stops. And you'll learn more about that as we go along. And so here's the Fourth Amendment itself. Again, I am not going over this. Plain view exception. These are exceptions to obtaining a warrant. Plain view means what it says. It means you can see it or you can smell it. Okay? But seeing it is the most common way. All right? You don't have, if I walk in, if I'm welcome into your house and you let me come in your house and I see marijuana on the table, I could probably arrest you for that. Okay? Or cocaine or something that's illegal. Consent is another. If I give you consent, and consent must be done by the person voluntarily. Okay? Having a gun on someone and then asking for consent is not consent. Automobile exceptions, because automobiles are mobile. There are special rules that you can read about here, and it explains basically that there are special things that our police officers can do without obtaining a warrant to search a vehicle. Search incident to a lawful arrest. If a person is arrested, then you can check their immediate area. And then these are some of the cases that are involved here for them to come up with this information. So now we get down here. Now these are each week. I'm going to encourage you, including this week, to look at these key terms. Now these are things that help you prepare for your exam. And you use the flashcard. That's the one I want you to use. And it says run Adobe Flash. Go ahead, click allow, and it will open it up. All right, once you do it, it'll be open. Okay, so these are some questions. A common exception to the search warrant requirement that permits law enforcement officers to search an area without a warrant if the person providing consent has the authority to do so. And what is that? The exception is called consent. Okay. Then you go to the next one. And you can do the same thing. So I'm moving right along here. So these are here to help you. Okay. Now let's go back to the next one. Here it comes. There we go. Okay, now let's go back into it. Okay, let's go back into this. Okay, so now let's go down to the next thing. Practice. Again, you click on these. And then you start the activity. So you're going to look at these and pick the right one. Click the element below that is not an element of armed robbery. So you're going to go through and you're going to pick one. Now I'm going to tell you, okay, intentionally entering the dwelling, taking property with force, and which is not an element of armed robbery. Okay, see if I'm right. That's correct. So it explains to you what armed robbery is. And so you go on, identify the elements of simple battery by selecting each pair. And so is accidental. It's going to be intentional. Threatens bodily harm. That's normally called assault. To property. Can you commit battery on property? Nope. On a person. Has to be a human. With their consent or without their consent? Without their consent. So guess what? All these elements are going to be turned out right. So those are things that help you to get this done. Let me move this out the way. Okay. Now let's go down to the next one. And then classifications of crimes. All these are not assignments. These are things that will help you. So what you're going to do is match the type of crime with the proper classification. Burglary with a sentence of 18 months in prison. Which one is it? Type it in the chat box. Damage to property with a 30-day sentence is going to be a misdemeanor. And then driving without seat belts is an infraction. So you submit. So you see, we provide these tools to help you. All right. And then the last one, please do not forsake this. Know why? I'm going to tell you right now. When you take the quiz in week 3, you're going to see some of these. I guarantee you, because I already know what the quiz is. This is a practice quiz. Each week you will have this. What are codified misdemeanors and felonies known as? What do we call that? Civil law, administrative law, criminal law, or case law? Which one is it? If it's put into the code. Civil law. You know what civil law is? I sue you for property or for money damages. When you earlier look at that stuff, you would see that. What are misdemeanors and felonies known as? What are they? I already told you. Yes. That's it. Your criminal law. And you'll go through. The Fourth Amendment is an example of which type of law. What kind of law is the Fourth Amendment? Where does it come from? Yes. Now you're getting it. And that's how stuff works. Burglary is an example. An example of blank that subjects the offender to a potential prison sentence of 1 year or more. Yes. And so that's it. So these are things that we put in here to help you. Okay. Well, we've come to the end of our lecture for the day. Now, I do want to tell you a little bit about myself, what I've been through, but I'm not going to do it today because in the interest of time, because it will take about a half an hour to 45 minutes. So what I am going to do is I'm going to prepare another video lecture where I talk about myself, and I'm going to send it to each of you, and I'm going to post it in the class, and you'll have it there. And I'll use the same one for each of my classes from this point on. I think that'll be easier to help you. But I want you to learn about me so that you'll understand why I am the way that I am. It's important for you to listen to it. And I think it'll help you too as well. You'll understand that I'm a very empathetic professor, and I will put that together over the weekend because I've got a lot of stuff to do over the weekend because I got grades due from my term 2 classes, term 1 classes that are due Saturday. So any questions about anything this week? Okay, so stay tuned for that video that tells you about me, because you're going to learn some stuff about me. To achieve the success that I've had in life, I've had to deal with a lot of adversity, and I'm going to share that in that video. And I'm going to try to make it, like I said, it's a half an hour to 45 minutes long. That is going to be a separate one for you to listen to. I encourage you to listen to it. Well, I got to give you a key phrase for this week. And that key phrase is criminal law. So you're going to give me that in the Dropbox to get your 6 points, get your points for this week for the lecture, criminal law. With that, I'm going to say good night to you. I look forward to seeing you guys Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for week 2 of our lecture. Okay, so I'm going to say good night to you at this time.